At JCPenney's 4th of July sale, it's all stars, stripes, and savings. Enjoy up to 50% off select furniture, mattresses, and window coverings. Plus, shop thousands of doorbusters across the store or use your coupon for additional savings. Take advantage of extended store hours Friday and Saturday. It's time to refresh your star-spangled manor. Shopping is back. JCPenney. Offers end 7/4. Exclusions apply. Doorbusters excluded from coupons. See jcp.com for details.
Getting your business started with LegalZoom is as easy as pressing a button. LegalZoom, now you're in business. LegalZoom is not a law firm or a substitute for an attorney. Oh, that's the only disclaimer? So simple. Guess I need to find a new job because LegalZoom doesn't need me to talk fast anymore. Maybe it's finally time for me to slow down, open my own spa or yoga studio with LegalZoom. Ah, that sounds nice.
Hello and welcome to Public Access America. This is Just the Tip.
Office of Senator Marco Rubio is not available to take your call.
Go to their Twitter page. There's a link for every politician, and you click on that and it shows you issues. And all you have to do is read the issues that they think they're there. And it also has the phone number on the bottom or a contact. It has to officially if it's on a public Twitter candidate, and you can call them. Yeah. Like I saved Marco Rubio's number right there. I can call him and ask him how he feels about any number of things. And I think we need to do that because Republicans, the right, are louder because they're calling. They're telling their representatives this is what we want. And if 100 people call 1 million times, that sounds like more than 100,000 people calling half the time. You know what I mean?
Just the tip, just the tip. Thank you.
It is time now for something positive.
We might be headed to the promised land, speaking the truth, and finding our external liberty once we internally liberate ourselves.
Problem can only be solved when there is a kind of coalition of conscience.
Because that is how it works. This is the beginning. It is not the finale, and that's why we're here, and that's why we rally.
We've got to be that creative minority.
Find a way to get in the way. I got in trouble. It was good trouble. It was necessary trouble.
Frankly, I know we've got to do something.
Hi, how are you? Well, hey everybody, welcome back to Public Access America. My name is Jason, his name is Jeffrey, and I have no idea what we're going to talk about.
That's a lie.
How are you doing? Well, my first thing in the note is what's top of mind for Jeffrey. So I don't know, so it can go any direction, but I'll tell you, then this note is full of stuff. Juicy.
Figured as much. I mean, I took a week off and decided to do something constructive while the Supreme Court did plenty of things that were destructive.
The earth shook. Yeah. So, but I had Adam here for that, which was actually kind of interesting, an interesting perspective, because we're two guys, and you and I are two guys, so we can only go too far into it. But I don't know. The Supreme, is that what's top of mind for you? Because they made a bunch of decisions, and I was going to leave it up to you to pick and choose which ones you wanted to address.
Yeah, there's a ton of decisions, and definitely worth going through. But top of mind for me really is that Debbie is currently lying in bed after having PRK surgery on their eyes.
Oh no.
No, so that way they can actually see without having to wear glasses and all that.
Oh, okay. So more laser surgery.
It is. It's a type of laser surgery. It's just it's not LASIK like everybody else. It's a little bit rougher, a little bit longer turnaround time, but hopefully after this is all said and done, Debbie will actually be able to see perfectly well after.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And of course, being, having ADHD and, just having something heavy on your face all the time, stuff we've talked about. It's just, it's real hard it's hard to constantly have to focus when you have so many things happening on your face all at once. So
I went through 7 eye surgeries, and I had eye patches and, eyelashes and swollen eyes. And the only thing that helped was Tylenol 4 because it knocked me out enough to where I wasn't opening and closing my eyes or paying attention to it. I was just sleeping.
Yeah, and Devi's got gabapentin, so nerve blocker, and that just completely knocks him out.
Yeah, good. That's the best thing to do is sleep through that. That's what my mom was an amputee, and she said she read so that she could sleep because sleep was the only time she wasn't in pain.
Luckily the pain, so like they were like, oh, day 3 is when it's the worst. Well, Debbie, got the unfortunate, like the first 2 days were just fucking awful. Yesterday actually wasn't so bad. It was supposed to be the worst day, but it actually wasn't so bad. Debbie heals insanely fast from most things, so it's pretty wild as it is. So we kind of figured that, with any luck, Debbie would be like feeling miserable in the beginning because they'd be healing super fast, and then, it would really tamp down, and that seems to be what's happened.
Hell yeah. I'll run through any tunnel that has a light at the other end,
At this point, looking at a lot of those lights at the end of tunnels, there's a lot of fucking freight trains that I seem to be running towards.
Yeah, that is for sure, isn't it?
Oh, God.
Shit. All right, but you're doing okay?
I'm doing all right. It's, even I'm doing some heavy duty therapy stuff. I'm doing a therapy called EMDR.
Oh, tell me more.
So, brains are amazing computer-like things, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are the most powerful computer that we have, essentially, which is why everybody is so keen on trying to develop AIs and neural networks and all that other fun stuff. The human brain processes information at a rate that, modern computing can't yet. Not unless you link together, hundreds or even thousands of computing processors and modules. But even then, it still doesn't quite do the way the brain does it. When you think about the amount of energy that it takes to run the brain, it doesn't take nearly as much energy as it does to run all of those computing systems. It's really wild when you think about it.
Right.
Now, EMDR. So EMDR, let me get the actual name out so that way everybody will know what it is.
Yeah, I love the idea of a therapy.
So EMDR is called eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy. So essentially what happens is, this is the 101 version. You dig into whatever it is you're needing to work on. Now, for me personally, one of the things that I have always struggled with is this idea that nobody wants me. And I fucking spiral. Now, when I wasn't processing anything, I could silence a lot of that because I just would throw it in the back of my head and I wouldn't do anything with it. Problem is that as I've started to dig in and really started to work on a lot of the stuff that I've had to deal with, there's a lot of things that keep coming up and I can't get them to stop.
Right.
And of course,
the closet back there's all full now.
The closet is empty, and it's all the stuff that was leaned up and keeping that one really heavy thing from falling out of the closet. All that little stuff is cleared out, and now that one thing wants to fall the fuck out.
Gotcha.
And unfortunately, it's just like I'm not prepared. I haven't been able to deal with it fully. So with EMDR, what happens is that you start digging into the thing that you're going to work on, and you move your eyes kind of like a metronome, or there's different ways that they do this. There's auditory, there's visual, but essentially what you're doing is you're reprocessing these things, and by using eye movements, you're actually able to work on this and dig into this a lot better.
Interesting. I'd like to know how that goes.
It's considered the big guns, essentially, without going into things like MDMA or psilocybin therapy.
Okay. I always wonder how people, they're always proud of their flaws, but then they want somebody else to love them, but they don't want to work on their flaws. You know what I mean? So how do you expect somebody to love you until you can love yourself, or at least prove to them that you're on a journey to do that?
that's been the tough part is that, for me, I've had a lot of shit that, essentially as I've been digging more and more into this, it's like, I really had a screwed up childhood in a lot of ways. And, and that's, a lot of that has been a major struggle for me. But I was able to just not deal with it for so long that I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to expose it. I didn't have to confront it. I didn't have to do any number of things with it.
Right. Because you're the problem solver, right? So you solve other people's problems, you work on other people's shit, you take care of other people, make sure they're fine, and then you'll work on yourself when everybody's fine, but nobody's ever fine.
Exactly. And so, I never actually worked on any of that stuff. It was always,
why would you?
I'll do it later. I'll do it later. I'll do it later. Well, later keeps coming, and it never happens. And so, luckily through the pandemic, there was the decision that, hey, I actually had decent insurance, and it was time to actually start working on shit for a change. So
yeah, I felt the same way. So I'm glad you did too.
So, of course, much with Debbie's insistence as well. So it's definitely been a good thing to do. But it's, it's definitely been difficult, and I still struggle with trying to describe everything that's happening, with it. Because, even for me, it's like, there's a lot of really boring stuff that leads up to this. It's, what I would consider the administrative side of things. It's like nobody cares about the paperwork side of things. Nobody wants to hear me talk about. And then what we did was we discussed all the different things that could happen, and then we discussed all the ways in which I could partake in the therapy, and then we discussed it's nobody wants to hear that part, at least in my mind. It's like that kind of stuff. I'd be like, no, I don't really care about the administrative. It's like, well, what's the meat and potatoes of this?
Kind of, but if you want to tell people how therapy can affect them, then you want to let them know that you're dipping your toe into the pool. Like, you're not jumping cannonball into something unknown, but you're kind of taking steps that lead to the meat and potatoes. And that's kind of cool, because you can always be like, oh, I'm getting a bad vibe here, or all right, I want to take the next step. So yeah, there's a process for it.
Absolutely. And I think that's always been the difficult part for me is that my assessment, like, I've always kind of assessed things as, this is what I would want to hear. And so that's like, if I find all this other stuff boring, I don't really want to talk about it. and other people happen to be very interested in that stuff. And it's like, oh, and I guess that's one of those other things that I've always struggled with is, what level of depth people want to go into, because a lot of the times, for me growing up, it was always like, get to the point. What do you have? Let's hear this.
Yeah. I'm a get to the point kind of guy. You show me the finished product, and then I'll decide whether I want to build something like it,
Right. Well, and most of my life was get to the point. So it's like, I never got used to like going, I won't even say that. The times that I did describe everything, I would actually get made fun of for going into detail about stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's just
I tend to over-explain too, and it irritates people. But so how did I get to the decision that I made? Here's the steps that it took, and yeah, people don't like that.
So it's so it was one of those things. Like I just got trained to. It's like, all right, just what was the thing? Here was the thing. This happened. End of story. And everybody's like, whoa, what the fuck?
Bullet points. Yeah.
It's like, where's all this other stuff? And it's like, nobody's ever interested in that, so I don't really go into that stuff. It's like, when then somebody's like, well, I'm interested in it, and then I'm like, I've had 20 years of not explaining this kind of stuff because nobody ever wanted to hear it, or I'd get made fun of for talking about it. And so it's just like, well, why the fuck do you want to hear that? Because I don't really want to sit down and explain all of this and then get made fun of.
Right. Or have somebody just dismiss it, right? I mean, like, get up and be like, okay, I'm gonna grab a drink, with no response, right?
Right. And so so there's and that's a lot of what I learned to do myself, how I had to learn how to deal with things.
Yeah.
And for better or worse, that's just how I developed. And of course now it's like trying to unlearn all of that, trying to learn how to ask or understand how much detail people want, or things like that. because, even for me in the business world, it's like nobody cares about, the process exists in the background, and until somebody has a question about the process, it's, well, what is going on, what happened, get to the point.
Right. Bullet points, right.
Exactly. It's like if there's something that piques somebody's interest, then they'll be like, hey, can you describe that for me? Can you give me details? And it's like, oh yeah, no, I can give you details. It's like, okay, let's, what do you want to dig into?
Right. I get it. My mom taught me in debate to learn what the other person was saying, because at some point you could switch the debate on them and argue their point, and then they'd suddenly be on the defensive. And conversation, and I read the Republic, and I've learned these ways to address conversations. It's just people don't understand how to have a conversation anymore. Hey, what do you do? How much do you make? You gonna have kids? Where do you live? And it's like, God, that's such gross facts about me. You know what I mean?
Well, and on top of that, it's like, when I was younger, shit, I had so much to go into, playing in a band, touring, going to school, and all these wild things happening. And now it's like, well, what does my daily life look like? I get the kids ready to go to school. I get them off to school. I eat breakfast. I feed the dog. I take the dog out to take a piss and a shit. I get myself off to work, take myself to the bathroom to take a piss and a shit. And then for 8 hours, for 4 hours, I'm dealing with emails. This person needs this thing. This person needs that thing. This person has a question. This person doesn't know what they're doing.
Right.
Oh, hey, there's an emergency. Oh, I can't really talk about the emergencies because, I'm contractually bound to not dive into certain things. That's just the way that it is. And then I eat lunch, or, I run home and I take the dog out to go piss, and I eat lunch, and I give the dog a treat and make her do some tricks. And then I put her back in her cage. I go back and I do 4 more hours of answering questions and writing things and doing tasks. And then I, say, whoo, that was a day. Yeah, that was a day. And then I come home, and then I make dinner, and then everybody eats. And then I make sure the kids get their homework done, take the dog out after she eats for another piss and a shit. And by the time all of that's done, and then I got to get myself ready for bed, so I got to take my meds, got to make the coffee. That's literally the rundown of my day.
And that's your 5 days a week. That's your ideal baseline. That's the problem.
Yeah, and that's literally my day 5 days a week. There's not a lot of depth that happens in my day. It's not like, oh, well, I'm dealing with, this personal emergency, or hey, I'm interacting with this person and they have all these it's literally like, okay, this, and day. For me, the most interaction like I really get most days is, moments with the kids. It's like, hey, one of the kids needed something, or hey, one of the kids was struggling with something that was going on in the world, or hey, one of the kids just needed some extra attention. So we just kind of sat there and we talked about X, Y, and Z, and whatever. That's mostly like it. I have this my days aren't exciting like they were when I was 18 through 25.
That's fine.
And that's and it's just hard to describe that. I went from very exciting to very boring, and that's okay, because it's like, I've had a lot of exciting in my life,
right? But here's the thing: boring can choose exciting, but exciting can never be boring. You know what I mean? And life can't be 100% exciting. So I want a nice boring girl that's willing to go on a hike. You know what I mean? Like, let's pick the excitement that we want. Maybe we don't always want to be a level 5 drama queen, So
and that's just it.
But that took a long time to get used to. The idea that I didn't have to like say yes to everything just to do everything, just to please people. No. I was on a podcast, Bottled Up Bitches, and I lost, and they asked, "Are you in a relationship?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm self-involved right now." Like all the wonderful things that I did for other people to avoid the things for myself are what I do for myself now.
Yeah. And that's I think absolutely fantastic, and I think that's one of those things about where I'm at right now is just that part of me is boring because it's like I legitimately don't have a whole lot of time.
Right.
And, I'm pretty well beat by the end of that day because that day that I just described starts at 6 o'clock in the morning.
I
And
get it.
and by the time I am done with that day, it ends at 10:30 at night.
Mm-hmm.
And so, other people are like, oh, well, I sacrifice sleep for this and I sacrifice sleep for that. And I'm like,
Right.
I had 10 years of sacrificing sleep because I didn't have a choice. And the
Right.
medication I was on completely fucked me up. So I've sacrificed my sleep. I've sacrificed a lot of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And it is real hard for me to sacrifice sleep unless there's something absolutely exciting to do.
What is scope creeping on your mental well-being? Because you got to clear out that circle, like we said a couple
Mhm.
weeks ago. Clear out your circle, stand in the center, and make boundaries. Because
Right.
what I learned is somebody will be like, Jason, I need your help. And I'll be like, oh, I can't. Is there anybody else? Come back to me if you can't find somebody else. And that's
Right.
so much of a better because then I get what I truly need, I can help with. You know what I mean?
Right. And
Yeah.
the other part of being boring too is that sometimes you're boring because you have to. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I have been focused on paying off my debts real
Right.
hard. And, for good reason. You know, Unfortunately, like, being exciting costs money, and especially with everything being fucking expensive right now, everything costs
Right.
money. And so exciting might be that, hey, we're going to go out and have dinner on the pier. That sounds lovely. Or,
Mm.
but it's not going to be like, hey, we're going to take a trip because I can't fucking afford it.
Right. I
you
like
know?
dates. I like dates in the kitchen. Like let's order Instacart. Let's hang out. Let's have a drink or two. We'll make something in the kitchen. You watch a
Right.
movie and eat. And that fits into my normal budget. And I like that, But how do you date day one doing boring? Like you can't.
Well, and
So
that's always one of the tougher parts is that, like, especially for people who don't know you, it's like there has to be this element of excitement, and
right.
it's like I get it. You have to meet, there's always that element of excitement in some way, shape, or form, but it's like the idea that, we're going to be able to sustain, all of these number of things, like
Right.
like that just isn't realistic, for
Mm-mm.
most people. That, unless you're rich, and then maybe you can, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But for those of us who are, six figures in debt because of houses and college and, whatever else may have you,
Mm-hmm.
like, jet setting for 2 weeks isn't on the menu. Fuck,
Right.
jet setting for 3 days most of the time isn't even on the menu, and that includes one day of traveling, a day of being at the place, and one day back.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. It's a shame. And we can't even do acid because we don't have the time for it. That's what I tell people. I don't do acid anymore, not because I don't like acid, but because it's a 12-hour ride that I just don't have time for.
That's
And
true.
the thing is, I understand what you're talking about, and that's what the world goes through. And I
Hmm.
know that from the opposite perspective. I don't have kids, I don't have the job, and I don't have like the family and everything that you have, and my day starts at 6 a.m. and I somehow never manage to have enough time to do what I need to do just for me. And so it always amazes me that there's people out there that can do it like you are. And like the Filipinos that I was in a relationship with, they were twice as much. Like they had twice as much on their plates. And
Hmm.
so it's amazing that people survive and they put other people
Hmm.
first until they have a heart attack, and then they leave everybody screwed. So
Right.
take care of yourself, Jeffrey. And
Yeah.
hey, Jeffrey, you're always wanted here.
And
Yeah,
that's
you're
this
always
is
loved here, just
and
so
this
you
is
know.
where, like, me as this person that is always like, not necessarily cold, but
Mhm.
crazy logical. Crazy logical me understands that what is happening over here is bullshit.
Right.
And logical me knows this.
Mhm.
But emotional me is like, yeah, fuck it, we're going down this rabbit hole. And it's like, I can't get it to stop unless I distract myself with something.
Right. But here's the thing. Change your perspective on what that thought is and don't consider it you, but consider it a virus.
And
Um,
and
it's
that's what I have
it's like a
tried.
fish lens abnormal vision of a thought that you had once that grew
Hmm.
into this virus. And the only solution is antibiotics, and that's proactive positive
Well, in this case,
normalization of it. You know
in
what
this
I mean?
case, for me, it's more like a change of thought perspective, resistance strain, and that's where that's where the EMDR comes in. Is that
cool.
you know what I have tried to do isn't working.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I can do to get it to stop, and essentially it's not even stop. It's literally just, to terminate the process is distract myself with something else. And
Delete
so
the
that's
file somehow, right?
I not even delete the file. It's like you manage to force close it for a little bit by opening up another window. And and but that process is still there and it's still running in the background and I can't, so I'm essentially having to use a heavy duty antivirus, mental antivirus to fucking wipe this out is what's going to happen.
A lot of times I think of my brain as an amusement park, and then all of a sudden I feel anger and I'm like, oh, well, here's a roller coaster I gotta get on. Or I'm feeling sad and I'm like, how long is this ride gonna take? And so I was just telling my friend, I was like, sometimes I'm crabby, but it's not you, it's pain. And I just am tired of pain without a solution. Like I'm sitting here trying all these different things to make myself better. And sometimes overall it's working, but there's minor setbacks here and there when I eat the wrong, like who knew corn flour would turn into fructose in your body? Everybody, obviously, except for me. So I had to deal with that and then eliminate corn flour. But it's a process. I get tired of the pain and sometimes I'm just not chasing,
Right. And that's what's tough about all of this is that everybody moves at a different pace. Everybody understands something a little bit differently. Everybody's got their own perspective on it, and I get it. Like for me, it's like I have learned so many tools to deal with so many different things, but this one is just like it's heavy duty, and unfortunately the tools that I got, they were wrenches and screwdrivers for something that needs a fucking breaker bar.
Yeah, tools only work for so long for certain things.
Exactly. And so
if you don't have the space to figure that out, what tool to use for what you need, and that you need a tool at all, then it's really tough to admit you have a problem, If you don't give it the time and space to figure out what the problem is. So, and that's just a lot of, I wanted to start the show by telling people that are under 50, it gets worse. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you think you're in pain and having a rough time, just imagine that pain just always there now. Like,
so there's one thing that I want to say, and I want to make sure that we get this information out as much as we can in the United States. Starting on July 16th, there's a new 3-digit number we all need to remember. 988. That is going to be the new number for the National Suicide Hotline in the United States. So instead of actually having to remember the number, we're now going to have a fast track to it. 988. So I want to make sure that everybody knows this, because we all know what 911 is. This is no different. It's an emergency, but 988 for people who are struggling with suicidal thoughts and ideation, who need help now. Starting on July 16th, we're going to have a shortcut to this.
I love that. Up until that, you can use 741-741. You can text that and you can get help. We every hour we do a tweet, so on July 16th I'll switch that to represent what you just said, because it's important.
Absolutely.
We also do a bullying. At the top of the hour we do the suicide hotline, and at the bottom of the hour we do the bullying hotline, which just so happens to be the same thing. So I like that. We did clean out our tweets for everybody that follows us on Twitter. We did slim down our auto tweets, and because we were pushing out a lot of stuff. But what I've been asking people to give us topics and stuff, you know what I mean? And we've really been getting that. I just want to say hi to Pierre the Progressive. He's in Washington. Our calendars didn't line up, but I still think they're a Democrat worth paying attention to. They believe in transparency. They wanted to be on the show, and I want to say thank you to Adam for being here last week, because I can imagine saying yes and then all of a sudden finding out that the Supreme Court just turned over Roe v. Wade and being like, "Oh, I'm not that political guy," you know.
Right. But
so he did really good straddling the line, and he kept bringing me back to things that weren't political, and I love that about Adam. So thank you for doing that. I want to say as well, you didn't record last Sunday, but 2 hours of Jeffrey and Jason and Kai came out on Unsubscribe.
Nice.
So check out Unsubscribe. And I did record with Bottled Up Bitches last week, and I don't know when that episode's coming out, but I love that. I love the interaction with podcasts, you know. I want to be on other podcasts. I saw some guys like, "Oh, I got to record solo." I was like, "I'll be on your show. I don't care." You know,
right?
We need to support each other and be on each other's show. And Bottle Up Bitches, by the way, is about sexuality and having. I like them because they teach people how to have a conversation like we do, and they generally speak about sexuality, but they want to know about your whole person. And I think that's really amazing. So I support podcasts like that. And Audio Pong. By the way, you remember the episode with Marco about the violinist, and we talked about all that? That is now after 7 years, in our top 10 all-time episodes. And it's still our most listened to episode, right behind Outrage Sells Eyeballs. And Food is a fuel that we use to achieve a goal. And I think it's amazing the stuff that is being picked up and listened to. And I just wanted to let you know that people are paying attention not only to like our guest shows, but these shows. And the violinist was just an amazing episode. I went back and listened to be like, why are people listening? And it did. Like, I was like, hey, let's start talking about this abortion thing. And you were like, no, we're going to talk about euthanasia. And I was like, whoa. But we covered a lot in that. And Marco was so wise. They're not available on Sundays, and we're not available on Fridays. So, but I wanted to say, Marco and Zach, you know, you guys are amazing. And their show broke my brain, the last show I tried to listen to, but they put it back together for me. So,
you know, that's a great thing about like shows like that is when, you know, like especially when we get Dan on and we just have these conversations that break people's brains. You know, like when we get Karen on, who's, you know, heals people's brains, you know, it's these kind of shows are, you know, those kind of shows are great. And especially when we dig in on topics where it's like, what's the solution? Like, you know, undoubtedly we're going to sit here and we're going to complain about a bunch of the rulings that have just taken place, but what's the solution? You know, and that's where things are going to be real tough here for.
And how does it affect people directly? We have something about the egg industry coming up later, and all I wanted to know was how does that affect people, because they don't really care other than that. And so we do a really good job with that. I want to just say really quickly, my top of mind was that man, it seems like the 1-6 committee is breaking through on Fox News and other right-wing things, and I just wanted to get your opinion if you thought it was having an effect. I've watched every session, so
here's what I would say. I would say that it's having an effect on a lot of the Republicans who are, I would say, committed to classical Republican values, or what I would consider classic Republican values, like I would say George W. H.W. Reagan, that style of Republican.
Even Nixon without the criminality.
Even Nixon without the criminality. I would say that for the people who are not getting swallowed up in the outrage culture, it is having an effect. Because I would say that, you know, one of the things that I would absolutely complain about, what the 1-6 committee has not done, is, and you know, for what, take this as what you will, the problem that we faced with Trump is a problem that we could face with a Democrat.
At JCPenney's 4th of July sale, it's all stars, stripes, and savings. Enjoy up to 50% off select furniture, mattresses, and window coverings. Plus, shop thousands of doorbusters across the store or use your coupon for additional savings. Take advantage of extended store hours Friday and Saturday. It's time to refresh your star-spangled manor. Shopping is back. JCPenney. Offers end 7/4. Exclusions apply. Doorbusters excluded from coupons. See jcp.com for details.
Getting your business started with LegalZoom is as easy as pressing a button. LegalZoom, now you're in business. LegalZoom is not a law firm or a substitute for an attorney. Oh, that's the only disclaimer? So simple. Guess I need to find a new job because LegalZoom doesn't need me to talk fast anymore. Maybe it's finally time for me to slow down, open my own spa or yoga studio with LegalZoom. Ah, that sounds nice.
Crap. And that is somebody who does not believe in the peaceful transfer of power.
Mm-hmm.
That was reason number one for me as to why I did not like Trump, is I did not believe that if he lost an election, he would support a peaceful transition of power.
Right. And then Joe Biden, if he loses to Trump, might find Trump such the threat and the option there for Kamala to use it because, oh my God, we don't want Trump back in office. We've got it. Yeah, I saw that too. And it's the same thing with the filibuster segue for a minute, is that, yes, if we eliminate the filibuster, Mitch McConnell is licking his chops at everything he's going to fucking delete and add. So
and that goes
a scary thing. I don't want that. The 60 vote threshold got us through Trump. That's the only thing that saved us from a lot of his radical shit.
And the other thing too is that, you know, in terms of one of the Supreme Court rulings recently where they pushed back that the EPA couldn't just, you know, make decisions and push. So, you know, one of the things, like I have struggled with this and I continue to struggle with this, but the problem is that I think a lot of people on the left have not thought about this at all, is that you want to push your stuff through. And I get it. I truly do. You know, majority rules. The problem is that you're assuming that majority is constantly going to hold.
Right.
And that it doesn't. It truly doesn't. You can make, you know, you have, you know, there's going to be the Trump argument. Trump lost the popular election, but he won the electoral college. It's bullshit, blah, 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 blah. But the thing is that the last time a Republican won a majority vote, George W. Bush in his second term, what do you think is going to happen, you know, as we move more towards an even split in this country? You know, you're going to have some more Democrats one time, you're going to have some more Republicans one time. And what you see with the EPA and all of these other federal agencies is that when the next president gets into power, they appoint people that undo what the previous administration does, and they can do that unilaterally. And so what ends up happening with this EPA, you know, with this Supreme Court ruling in West Virginia v. the EPA, is essentially it pushes it back to Congress saying, hey, if you want permanent change, you're the guys that have to do this. You can't be just dropping this off to the EPA, because look what happened. Obama put all of these different EPA protections in that were going to hold through. Trump wins the presidency. He appoints somebody that starts pushing all of that back. And so this back and forth constantly, because you're just changing administrations, is not effective.
We're paying for that.
And the same thing is going to happen if you remove the filibuster. And that's the biggest problem that people don't think about. If you remove the filibuster, guess what? Yeah, you could absolutely get through and try and codify Roe v. Wade.
Right.
But guess what happens if the Republicans get a majority in the House and the Senate and the presidency? They're going to repeal it again. And that's one of the biggest problems is that, you know, or
chip away at it, or make laws that chip away at it.
And that's been one of the biggest problems is that, you know, why this whole issue about cloture has been, you know, talked about. At 60 votes, it becomes not impossible, but next to impossible to get something brought back up to be repealed. And that's been one of the biggest things that, you know, I got to give credit where credit's due. The Republicans are holding firm on, because the thing is that if the Democrats get some of this stuff, like, for example, you know, the gun violence legislation that just passed, if that had been done on a simple majority vote and we had removed the filibuster, then when the Republicans I say when, not if. When the Republicans
Exactly.
get House, Senate, and presidency again, they would just repeal that.
Exactly.
And so this is where it gets tough. It's like I understand, like there's so many things that I honestly believe need to get done, but if every single presidency and administration and Congress is going to be just undoing what the last guy did, we're in for a real shit show. You don't think government's effective now? Wait until all it's doing is just repealing what the last guy did.
I'll go back to three simple stats that answer that question, and it's 22% Republican, 33% Democrat, 45% independent. We're trying to fit three parties in a two-party system. You know what I mean? And it's not working. So a majority of neither party can get a majority with 33% or 22%. You have to try and get how much more? 17% more independent or Republican votes. And that's the difficult thing, because we want to be moderate. We don't want to build back better. We want to analyze the solution, decide if that's the right solution, and go with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the issue. Is I'm an independent. Nobody's speaking to me about the things that we talk about. I don't see them talking about the struggles that we face. I see them talking about national things. And what I was telling Adam about was there's a strip of the media and politics and activism and orgs and the Federalist Societies and all that stuff. It's a strip of the media. And what it does is it says, hey, we're important. We're important. And they say it loud enough to the rest of the 99%. They're like, oh, you are? And then we're thinking they're important. But the truth is we're really hurting ourselves just to prove that they're important. We're paying $250 million to something that didn't exist so that Trump could be rich. Like, and this, like the other thing was, I've heard Democrats complain about this. The minute Roe v. Wade was overturned, people got mail bombed by every representative imaginable asking for donations, because Democrats think we can advocate our way out of this. And it's like, how do you expect us to deal with inflation and donation? Like, one of those two has to give. I gotta eat. I gotta pay my rent. And guess what? Nobody's helping me with this issue,
And then you run into the other issue, which is that, on the right, there's been this whole debate of, well, Democrats have had multiple chances to codify Roe v. Wade. So I actually took a look back to see when the last time was that the Democrats held enough of a majority in both the House and the Senate and the presidency to codify Roe v. Wade. And you want to know when the last time was?
Yeah. Tell me.
The late 70s.
Wow. Okay.
The late 70s was the last time that the Democrats held enough House seats, Senate seats, and the presidency and could have codified Roe v. Wade into law. That was the last time. And so that was the thing is that, I mean, you can maybe blame the Carter administration for this, but the question at the time would have really been is like, would it have been seen as necessary to try and codify Roe v. Wade?
Yeah, was it even something that we needed? We were still working on the ERA at the time, thinking that those two things would solve the world, right? And like Republicans got mad about the welfare system, Social Security being created. That's when the division started,
So realistically, like, I would say that if people want Roe v. Wade to be codified into law, the real answer is that people are going to have to vote for Democrats, and they're going to have to swallow their pride, and they're going to have to swallow their ideals to pass one thing, because that's what Republicans do.
Right.
They swallow. I mean, for better or worse, they'll swallow their morals to get their guy elected. And they will die on that fucking hill for that. And that's there are more people who vote Democrat. Yes, there always have been. And when Democrats do real shitty work, it's not that Democrats lose, it's that Democrats stay home and they don't vote.
That's what Adam said. It's about time to have a protest. it's time to protest again. I said, no, what's going to happen is indifference. People are going to learn to work under the system and around the system because the system is oppressive and taking them out of it. And we're just not going to vote, but we're also not going to pay taxes and show you an income that you can see. We're going to find loopholes and ways around what you do until you include everybody. So,
yep.
Like somebody said, promise me you'll never vote for a Republican again. I was like, never's a long time. Ideally, I want the best and most informed person representing me. But right now it's security and safety. And the only person that can guarantee that to me is a Democrat. And that sucks. But that's what it is right now. But I want people to vote informed. If you think Democrats are assholes, then go ahead and learn about them. I do when it comes to Republicans, right? Tiffany Smiley. I was like, who's Tiffany Smiley? And I learned her enough to realize she was a Republican I could support if she was to win. And so if Democrats are bad, if you think they don't value the same things you value, then research them. Go to their Twitter page. There's a link for every politician, and you click on that and it shows you issues. And all you have to do is read the issues that they think that are there. And it also has the phone number on the bottom or a contact. It has to officially if it's on a public Twitter candidate, and you can call them.
Yeah.
Like I saved Marco Rubio's number right there. I can call him and ask him how he feels about any number of things. And I think we need to do that because Republicans, the right, are louder because they're telling their representatives this is what we want. And if 100 people call 1,000,000 times, that sounds like more than 100,000 people calling half the time. You know what I mean? And so we just don't do that. We don't call Rick Scott and say, you're an idiot. You know what I mean? But there's other people calling him going, right on. And that's the issue. We support Democrats because we think they're going to help us, but we don't tell the other side that they're wrong.
Well, and then one of the other things you also have too is that, what both of these parties do is they have these great big rallies with their supporters to make themselves feel good, but they never have a town hall with the people who don't support them to find out what they're thinking, what they're feeling, and figure out how to, I would say, cooperate, how to compromise, because the problem is that, we've gotten to the point in our representation is that we represent the people who vote for us and tell the other ones to fuck off. Realistically speaking,
kinda. We represent the people that get our attention.
You'll never convince me that AOC or
Katie
Porter or any number of them really care about representing the Republican wing of their districts. And the reason I say that is because they're not going to be out there listening going, you know what, we should probably look at, what's the best compromise. Their answer is that I'm pushing my agenda, my party's, my party doesn't even push the agenda that I want. So I'm going to push my thing and my thing only, and compromise be damned. And guess what? That's how we end up with this constant back and forth swing. Everybody wants immediate, massive change. And I understand it. I really do. I truly do. I would love it if we were off of fucking fossil fuels and on renewable energy. But the problem is that when you just force massive changes without trying to walk the change there, what you end up doing is like you force a distance and then you fall backwards a bunch.
Right. Yeah.
And it's no different when you only represent part of your constituency and tell the rest to eat dick.
And I want to say real quick, Katie Porter was a bad example because her district just combined with another district, which is Orange County, which is entirely Republican. So she has been actually trying to compromise and work on both sides. And when you're a technocrat, it doesn't matter what your party is. You know what I mean? Like AOC is obviously political. She studied politics. She studied activism, and then she became a politician, which is fine. But there's other people that are just there for the numbers. They're just the accountants, the lawyers, like the boring people that just want to serve and make
Right.
sure the numbers are right. And that's
And
most of them.
and don't get me wrong, like I do believe that, every party needs to have that, that person that pushes things to,
I do
get to a
too.
certain point. But the problem is that that push becomes, I mean, that push really just becomes empty to one side when their voice
Hmm.
isn't included,
Right.
which is why people like AOC have such a staunch backlash to just about anything that they say.
Right.
It's not because they aren't right on certain things. I mean, it's that even if they are right, they are just getting absolutely shit
Yeah.
hammered
You don't
because,
deserve the satisfaction of being right
right.
when you're an
For
asshole.
example,
Right?
like when it comes to the Green New Deal, I don't disagree with the end goal. I truly don't.
It
I
was an
think it's
outline.
I think that, the countries that are seeing the least inflation, as we're
Hmm.
coming to find out, are the countries that have, actually diversified their energy portfolio the
Yeah.
most.
Right.
And we haven't done that, at least not as aggressively as we probably should have been.
Yeah, and I don't know why. It's this point because Democrats came up with it, Republicans have to be opposed to it, but Republicans are about business and money, and green energy is this new market that we created. We
Green
out of
energy isn't
nothing,
even a
out of
new market.
like,
That's the
but out of,
thing.
out of nothing, we just said, "Hey, let's do this," right? Like we
Mhm,
did with the windmills on farms. Those things
mhm,
generated electricity, right?
mhm.
And we thought to ourselves, "Let's do that." And Holland, right? And we started taking ideas from each other on how to do it better, but we could nail that market.
And
But
that's one of those fun
Republicans
things.
say no, it's a worthless market,
Well, and the
you know?
problem is that Republicans say no, not because they don't see the importance of the business side of it. It's because of the methodology that Democrats use. Democrats
Mm,
use this idea of, well, if we just take more tax money and we just give it to these businesses, and the
right.
Republicans go, no, because consistently what you end up having is the government takes a bunch of tax money, they give it to a bunch of businesses who then go out of business. You saw that in during the
Yep.
Obama administration with one of the solar companies that, the federal government invested in, and then they fucking closed their doors a year later.
Or you invest in somebody like Elon Musk and he becomes a giant douche that doesn't fucking pay back the subsidies that he used because he
Or
doesn't
you,
feel he
what
has to. He
or
just builds
what
a
you do
rocket and asks for more subsidies.
or what you do is you say, what is the American value? Energy diversity.
Yeah,
you
hell
can let
yeah.
you can let states decide what that diversity looks like. Places like
Hmm.
the West Coast, it's going to look like more wind, more solar, more hydro. In
Mm.
places like, say, Montana, Wyoming, South Dakota, places like that, they might say, you know what, solar. We don't have a lot of trees out here because we're in the fucking plains. That sounds great. Wind, eastern Montana, Wyoming, lots of fucking wind.
Boom.
But what about places that, don't necessarily have, as much wind? You got places like Wyoming that are saying, you know what, fuck it, let's set up a nuclear plant. Let's
Yeah.
actually provide power.
But let's create it right and design it right and so that
Correct.
it's safe and effective and use the latest thorium technologies to reduce the adverse effects.
Exactly. And so, and then you have to ask the question, how do we get there? Once again, there's going to be people that go, well, if we just take more tax money, as if the American people aren't, getting taxed a whole bunch as it is. Or
Hmm.
what you could do is you could say, you know what, for all of these big companies that want to become big energy companies, we're going to have a tax holiday for the next 10 years for you to R&D, develop, implement, build, and turn operational all of these different ideas.
Yeah.
Why? Because it will cost them less to invest in all of these technologies. They'll be able to use proven technologies, not try and create newer or riskier technologies, especially in the case of nuclear. Um, but they'll be able to do this in such a way that it actually reduces their economic burden of trying to set these things up. And then guess what you get? You actually get diversification. That's the thing is that if you want to get to green energy, there's a compromise that you have to build in, and that
Hmm.
compromise has to not just be do it my way.
Well, how does what you just say translate to actual reality of MAGA for life? Like Republicans, they think what you're saying, but what they say is not what you said they're thinking, and that's the issue. Like, how am I supposed to trust them?
All right, here we go. All the technology has to be built, manufactured, and developed within the United States at the hands of American
That's
workers.
fine.
There you go.
If a Republican said what you just said, I'd support them. But
right,
it's
and
like
that's the thing is,
they might think that, but what they're coming out on a stump trail and saying is, "Hi, the election was a fraud. Put me back in power, and guess what? I'll deal with that." Not, "Hey, I have this great idea to compromise on green energy, in which we come up with a system where we do a tax holiday instead of subsidies." And like, nobody's saying that to people. Why aren't they saying that to people?
the reason, but because once again, you come back to that whole issue of donations, outrage,
and constant election cycles.
Outrage opens pocketbooks. We
Yeah.
know this. We know this
Right.
time and again. Outrage sells, and we've talked about this constantly. Oh my God! If I say election fraud, yay! People are going to open up their wallets and throw money at me. But then the question is what are you actually doing to address "quote unquote" election fraud?
Right.
Well, I'm in power now.
I'm making sure it doesn't happen.
But how? How are you doing that? Well, I'm in power now.
Because it never happened. So it's real easy to say I'm protecting you from something that never happened.
What was it? They figured they're based on the number of prosecutions right now. There has been a 0.3, I think it's a 0.36% election fraud potentially.
It's somewhere between 360 and 400 cases over the last 10 years.
And that's every election cycle is what it boils down to. And so it's well within the normal and acceptable and would not have changed anything.
Right.
So when you're looking at like a 0.36%
right,
rate of fraud, like, I mean, if you like, that's the thing is like, oh my God, that sounds like, let me tell you something. How much of your stuff runs 99% of the time? When you think about it, your internet connection doesn't run 99% of the time, believe it or not. You can look at your agreement, and I guarantee you that your internet only has to be up 95% of the time or 90% of the time, depending on your company. As a business, we have to negotiate really heavily to get 5 nines. That's 99.999%. And to put that into perspective, that's like down for, I want to say, like 8 hours total.
Right.
Unplanned outages.
I get it. Even Lysol says it kills 99.9% of all bacteria. They think it kills 100%, but they're never going to say that outright.
Right. Well, it's because they can't. They really can't say that.
They can't, because there's a bacteria out there that it won't kill.
Exactly. So when you're telling
humans.
No, they're virus. But if you tell me that something is 99.64% effective, like, that's pretty goddamn good. Like, birth control is only 99% effective.
Right.
So that means, 36 times out of 1,000 birth control doesn't work. That's not bad.
Okay.
That's not bad at all. That's pretty decent. Those are pretty decent odds. But when people, oh my God, election fraud. That's the thing is that election fraud has always been talked about, but it has never been politicized in quite this way.
Right.
And the thing is that when it comes down to it, all of those cases that have been prosecuted, it's because the system works. The system works. People have been caught. And funny enough, most of those cases of election fraud were Republicans. About 2/3 of those cases have been people trying to vote extra for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And about 1/3 were people trying to vote for Democrats. And out of all of that, I'll just round it up easily, and say 600 in this case, because there was a lot. 400 votes for Donald Trump, 200 votes for Joe Biden, at a net of 200 votes for, Donald Trump that were changed to, not legitimate.
Right.
None of that was enough to turn the tide of the election in any of those states. So even if that had just taken place in one state, that wouldn't have been enough to change anything. But that was nationwide. That's nationwide out of, you're looking at 150 million votes.
So at its top, at its top number, MAGA couldn't beat Democrats.
And the problem is that when you look at the ballots themselves, Republicans couldn't vote for Donald Trump because of how badly he handled things. And I say that, and I'm going to make a very large case for somebody like Asa Hutchinson, who I disagree with on so many things. But one of the things that he is correct on is that Donald Trump made it so that way he disqualified himself. He was a bad leader.
Right.
And that is what happened with Republicans, is that Republicans who grew up with classic Republican ideals and ideologies said, I can't support this guy. Now, here's where this gets fun, and I know that you love this. I'm going to go into confirmation bias, because the people who truly think that this whole thing was a fucking fraud, here's what's going to happen. If a Republican wins the next election, the next presidential election, the people who are saying that there's fraud in the system are going to say, see, look, the Republicans should have won the last election. The last election was flawed.
Right.
But if the Republicans lose the next election, they're going to say, see, look, the election system is still broken and is not legitimate. And that's the thing about confirmation bias, is if you don't want the result to be true, you will do everything in your power to say that it's illegitimate.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you're just never going to convince that group of people that what has happened was free and fair and just not the result that you wanted. It doesn't matter. It wasn't that Republicans didn't win down ballot in places like Arizona.
Right.
They did.
And they didn't.
My buddy Adrian,
they didn't take their. They didn't give up their seats and say, the whole election was bad.
The Maricopa County Recorder, my buddy Adrian Fontes.
Mm-hmm.
He lost his election. He lost his re-election bid.
Yeah.
So, like, if he was quote unquote ballot fixing, man, I don't know anybody who's going to ballot fix themselves out of fucking office.
I can tell you, Joe Biden in Georgia is down 14, and Raphael Warnock is up 10, and Stacey Abrams is even. So, yeah, there can be a discrepancy with the president and others, and that's fine. But
and I fully expect Biden to be down in a lot of places because things haven't been run well.
Right. But my point is, MAGA might have been in the Super Bowl once, but they didn't come close to winning it. And so to take that same model and put it in another Super Bowl guarantees you're going to lose because players age. Donald Trump aged, and he didn't age well. I always saw it as a boiling pot of water. MAGA was a boiling pot of water, and eventually it would condense to just the bottom, and then it would just be a pan full of bubbles burning until it was nothing anymore. Because that's what it felt like. And Donald Trump, you can go ahead and run, but people are going to be paying attention to what you're saying more. Like, we're more fact-based than we were. He hit us. He blindsided us, but we've all had a chance to like rest, and people are like paying attention. I saw it on Fox News. They were like, well, Trump said this. I don't understand why that would be. And they were starting to question his comments. And that's all we need. People question your leaders. Why would you be anti-government just to support a politician? It doesn't make sense to me. If you're going to question everything, you should be questioning the person you're putting in the most faith in.
And that's the thing is like what most people don't realize is like somebody like Liz Cheney voted with Trump's policies more than the quote unquote MAGA crowd did.
93% of the time, actually.
Exactly. So if you were, to me, here's the thing, like if you were to take conservatives like Mitt Romney and Liz Cheney and run them together as a president vice president combo in the next election, not only would they win, but it would be a fucking landslide because as we found out, 83% of the country thinks that it's headed in the wrong direction. And that's the Republican Party and the Democratic Party.
Yeah, and that's why Liz Cheney is like, I don't care. Unseat me because I'm going to run for president or senator. Like, she doesn't care. She doesn't want to be a House fucking representative. She's bigger than that. She's a Cheney. And if a Cheney isn't trying to be president, then I don't know what's going on. And if she put that girl Cassidy Hutchinson as her running mate, they would kill it.
honestly, like I said, if you were to take if conservatives swallowed their pride long enough to vote, like say a Cheney Kinzinger or a Cheney Romney ticket,
yeah,
legitimately they would win hands down. Period. End of story. And the Democrats would have absolutely no chance of winning that election with the way things are going right now. But if they throw Donald Trump or a Rick DeSantis Rick DeSantis, Ron DeSantis, whatever, Rick, Ron, Johnson, DeSantis, fuck them all.
Florida man is what
Florida man. If you throw Florida man into the election, Florida man's not going to win the election. It's going to it's going to solidify the Democratic side more than it will actually hurt. But because of how poorly things have been done by the Democrats and Joe Biden, if you took a centrist Republican like Cheney Romney, which I don't even know if you can call them centrist because they vote with Trump more often than not.
Right.
They would honestly mop the floor with the Democratic Party. It wouldn't be close.
So I'm going to wrap up on two things because we're towards the end. I like the fact that Joe Biden's like, I can't do that as a president. Congress needs to do that. He's ineffective because he's trying to retool the system and give it the power back to the Congress. Unfortunately, Republicans are like, we don't want that power. We want it in a king. I don't like that.
Nope, fuck that shit.
And I really think that we're worried about Republicans. What we should be is worried about independence. We should be trying to get independents, their own parties, so that they can fill in the role of what Republicans were.
Well, I think what the independent party would be would just be called the moderate party, because they're the people that typically they'll go to the left one side, they'll go to the right one side, and whenever one party veers too far in one direction, they just go over to the other side.
Right.
So
I don't think they would. Well, I don't know. What do I know? Anyway, everybody, thank you for listening to Public Access America. We didn't really get to the Supreme Court rulings that I thought we would, but that's cool. We'll be back next Thursday for a bigger discussion.
To those who would tear the world down, we will defeat you. This is our moment. This is our time. To those who seek peace and security, we support you. Yes, we can. And to all those who have wondered if America's beacon still burns as bright, tonight we proved once more that the true strength of our nation comes not from the might of our arms or the scale of our wealth, but from the enduring power of our ideals, democracy, liberty, opportunity, and unyielding hope.
Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbow. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life.
Ask not.
Yes, we can.
What your country can do for you.
I have a dream.
Ask what you can do for your country.
I, poor little children,
yes, we can.
one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression.
In this lifetime, you don't have to prove nothing to nobody except yourself.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
That's how winning is done.
Welcome to Public Access America.
Yes, we can.
Sunday live streams on YouTube.
I wanted to run out of that tunnel for my dad.
On Twitter.
What?
Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Smart Radio Public, and Spotify.
Yes, we can.
Public Access America. History in the making. Making history in the making.
See
At JCPenney's 4th of July sale, it's all stars, stripes, and savings. Enjoy up to 50% off select furniture, mattresses, and window coverings. Plus, shop thousands of doorbusters across the store or use your coupon for additional savings. Take advantage of extended store hours Friday and Saturday. It's time to refresh your star-spangled manor. Shopping is back. JCPenney. Offers end 7/4. Exclusions apply. Doorbusters excluded from coupons. See jcp.com for details.
LegalZoom presents How to Start Your Own Business. Step 1, go to LegalZoom.com. Step 2, press Start Your Business. LegalZoom, now you're in business. LegalZoom is not a law firm or a substitute for an attorney. And that's it. I have no more disclaimers to say. Why am I even here? All I do is fine print. The only thing I've ever been good at is talking fast. Maybe I could use LegalZoom to start my own fast-talking business? I guess I could use LegalZoom to start my own auction house and become an auctioneer. They talk faster than anyone, but I have a dust allergy and can't be around all of those antiques. So what about horse racing? Wait, I'm allergic to horses too. Ugh, wait a minute. I don't have a bike allergy. I can start my own spin studio with LegalZoom. Yay!